Kuantayin. So yeah, it's a little different podcast today. I'm still processing. So yeah, my name is Gilda. I'm in Iceland. I live in Iceland, and I said this is a little different from usual. Cause I literally just got home yesterday. So wow, I've been practicing how to say this for like the past week, literally helping me cope with what was happening. I'm pretty certain that's what I was doing. I kept practicing what I was gonna say to the camera, so that was like, I think that's a good part of why I'm not panicking, stressing. Um, so we had to evacuate last Monday because of avalanches. That is dramatic, and it was very very bizarre. Everyone is fine. Okay, so just so I probably should have started with that. Everyone is fine. The people who unfortunately landed in the avalanche, they are fine. The worst that they got were like bruises and scrapes and the one concussion, and I'm so thankful that everyone is fine. So yeah, it's been a bit dramatic for the past week here in Easter Fjords of Iceland. Something that hasn't happened for 50 years, and we're good now. But yeah, cold opening, pretty much. So yeah, so Monday when I woke up, I look out the window or try to. It's just white. We are in the middle of an absolute snowstorm, and the it's just a difficult word. Meteorology office. They already set out an alert, so everyone's like, yeah, we like my store manager, yeah, text messages, and it's like, we're not opening the store until we get the clear. So I'm like, great, because the first thing that I thought when I opened the drapes and looked out, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going out. I was literally just thinking, I can probably just call in day of absent because I'm not walking in that. Literally, snow was touching, just this close to touching the roof of the neighbors, the little houses on the other side of the street. That's how totally snow got. Didn't know at the time that there'd already been an avalanche. But again, everyone is fine. Broken windows, broken doors. I saw some pictures and videos taken from the house that was hit the worst, and it's like, I wasn't sure whether I was looking at something inside or outside. It was just so full of snow. But everyone got out, everyone is fine. You can always replace stuff. So, but yeah, so we got time to prepare, like put some things in bags, like medicine, and a lot of people brought their knitting. A lot of people. I actually wasn't able to do a single stitch the entire week because mine was just a bit fumbled. But yeah, then the rescue units came and picked us up and got us to safety. The people working who keep clearing the roads, they just Herculean effort of going over the entire area, clearing the roads so that everyone could evacuate. Just at no point did I feel unsafe. Like, I felt extremely safe and secure and so well taken care of. I'm like, kind of in love with people. Not gonna lie. Yeah, Monday was very very strange. On top of that, we got a room at the hotel, and unfortunately, my mother, who is 79 years old. She has to use this stroller to walk. She's a smoker and she didn't want to be a bad guest, so she went out to the balcony. And unfortunately, when she was getting back in, she slipped on the snow on the balcony, and we did find out later that she broken her arm. So she maintained that she was fine, that it was just a bruise. So we're like, okay, but we're just gonna keep an eye on developments and get help, more help, because we had to get some help to help her get her 2 feet. And then we called for emergency services in the morning, and they came and picked her up and brought her to the hospital. And such a nice lady who picked up at the emergency services. It's really nice. And then we got familiar faces coming to pick her up, and at no point did I felt stressed about not having her around, because I know that she's being very, very well taken care of. It does help that I did find out the same day that, like, the doctors and the nurses and everyone else who works at the hospital, they nipped home on Monday, got their bare necessities, and they've been sleeping at the hospital the entire week. So I knew that at every step of the way, if the hospital would need to be evacuated, that was always a risk. She was as good as she could be. So yeah, we managed to get the store open on Tuesday. Yeah, it snowed horrendously Monday and Tuesday, but everyone just kept in such good spirits. I think that's the main thing that has helped me. Also, is just everyone in town has been very kind, very gentle, very considerate. We've all been making sure to chat with one another, keep tabs, and I keep jumping back and forth, but on Monday was a lot. So we were evacuated to a community center that served as emergency center for the past week. It's a bit bizarre to come in there. It's like, yeah, I'm not here for like a show or anything. We're here because avalanches. But like, having all those kids running around and all those dogs, like some of them were so extremely socialist. Some of them are very used to being around other dogs, and other dogs are like, what's going on? Who are you? And other dogs is like, oh, darlings. So it wasn't stressful, and everyone just like keeping tabs on one another, and so it made a bad situation very much better than bearable. And like I said, we actually got a room at the hotel, so I really can't complain. And luckily we managed to get the store open on Tuesday, because the homes that were able to take more people in, they were expanding from like 2 or 3 or 4 people up to 8 and 12, so obviously they would need more food. So we also got like expedient shipping on fruits and bread and dairy. I was kind of surprised on Tuesday because the dairy truck actually managed to get through the tunnel. They had to close the tunnel because of avalanche threat, but the dairy truck, they got through at the end of the day and delivered the milk, and I was so thankful. And then Wednesday, like I said, we were put at top priority all across the country to get stuff, to get fruits and vegetables and the necessities. So I don't know, I just feel very, very warm knowing that. I also know that the apothecary, they will also put in like extreme first priority. Like, they got medicine flown in to the airport up in Eilstad, and then the police handle the delivery, and it's like, wow. That's just really, really looking on the bright side. And yeah, we also mean, when you got such bizarre, strange situation that is completely out of your hands, I think most people kind of fixated on the fact that we were expecting the helicopter from the coastal guard to arrive, so we were waiting the entire day just to see the helicopter. We were like, when is it gonna show up? I think most of us adults were a little bit more excited than the kids. And they actually, on the second attempt, because the weather was horrendous, very experienced pilot. I read an interview with him, I think on Friday rather than Saturday. They managed to get here on second attempt, and he actually had to fly the last 2 kilometers backwards. And they do that in like very tricky situations, so that if the situation turns like dangerous, they have a way out. And it's so cool reading that. But they were very set on being able to get here on Monday evening, because he was delivering a doctor, an anesthesiologist, 2 police officers and 2 members of the search and rescue. Because the local chapter, I mean, obviously people here, they were like doing the lot. They were the Red Cross and the local search and rescue. They were holding up. All the rest of us just completely up. And they were also picking up like I found out later, they were actually picking up a pregnant woman who was in labor, and I still don't know who that woman is. And I'm like, I'm pretty certain that she's fine, but can you imagine being about to deliver a baby in this situation? It's like, no. But yeah, so complete stock up on Wednesday. Wednesday is actually started sleeting. It started raining on Thursday. Thursday was the second worst day because extreme uncertainty regarding the weather and avalanches, all that. Unfortunately, I caught a stomach bug that day, so being sick when you can't go home is just the worst. I am still getting over it, but I am getting better. On top of that, because I wasn't in my environment, I wasn't in my little nest, I kept waking up at like 3 in the morning, so that hasn't helped. I did manage to go to work on Friday, and that was very almost just a normal day. Raining a lot, so we were like, fingers crossed. Actually met a childhood friend of mine. She's part of one of the rescue units from Reykjavik, so that was really nice. We did see like rescue units from like Easter Fjords, which is the biggest town over in the Western Fjords. So we've had the west, the south, the north, everyone just coming to be of assistance, and that's been so heartwarming. And yeah, and then we got to go home yesterday. So yeah, it rained until around noonish, and then it's been dry actually most part of yesterday, and then today it's been sunny. It's actually like 5 minutes to 1 in the afternoon. Still in my pajamas because I need it. So yeah, it's been really interesting. I think the first time when I like, there's so many small things, or kind of small things that like keep cropping up, and I'm like, I want to share them. The first time that I genuinely started to realize that it was serious, just the fact that I knew from the get-go that everyone was fine. I don't really think that it clicked with me how serious it was until I went to the local housing of our local chapter of search and rescue, to get myself put on a list, so that I would be allowed to go with help home to pick up the necessities, because obviously we hadn't been packed. Like, I expect to be let home Monday, but that didn't happen. So I went to pick up more clothing. I remembered to like pick up my skincare, not the eyebrows or the mascara, kind of why I decided to be like this. I don't care what other people think when I'm like faceless. I put on the eyebrow tinter because these are invisible and I can't really like exemplify my expressions because they're invisible, and kept forgetting those. I actually ended up buying, like, nipping over to the apothecary on Wednesday, which is how I find out about the medicine. But yeah, I remember the clothing, my skincare, because skin, like my shampoo, and then the food that I could find quickly of like perishables. Like, I did manage to find the bananas, I remember the milk, and like cheese, the ham, the bread. Did I mention bananas? I think I mentioned bananas. And I went around and again to make sure that all the windows were closed, that the ovens were on, and then I skedaddled. But the point when I actually realized just how severe the situation was, when I look over at the housing and I see them help another person put on. So we had to put on this thing that goes over your head and around one shoulder, and then you fasten it around your waist, and it's this little machine that beeps. And that's when I saw them do that, that's when the bottom of my stomach actually dropped. I'm like, oh. And then I pulled it back on because I was having a conversation. I'm like, well, if it happens, it happens. Because that thing is your safety, right? So if you do land in an avalanche, that thing is gonna beep and beep and beep so that you will be found. So I'm like, if worst comes to worst, I will be found, and also I won't be alone going, because there were 2 townies allowed to go in a car with two search and rescue, and I went in a car with my neighbor, a staircase neighbor. So it was a thing, because the police had, like, they cordoned off all the areas that were like under watch, and they had police watch, so to keep everyone safe. And how they did it is that in each area they were only allowing a certain amount of people, so in case, you know, another avalanche falls, they know where people are, how many. So I felt safe. I felt extremely safe. And I also heard, like, there was constantly like a lot of search and rescue constantly on the road that happens to be just above the hospital. Search and rescue, police, and at the housing I saw that the people helping out were actually, they weren't local. They were people from the fire department of the capital, Slökkviliðið höfuðborgarsvæðisins. And I also saw the 2 police officers that came from the capital, and it's really, you really knew them. I think I heard somewhere that they're from like the special units, like the SWAT, and I would be inclined to believe that, because the normal uniform of the police is this black uniform with the yellow lettering. But these guys, they were wearing this stone grey top to bottom. You're like, that's different. Really nice guys. But the uniform is really severe, so you do know that there's like but like the media did manage to get here too, so they were keeping up with coverage. Listen, some of the interviews that they were taking is just cute. It was sweet. Like one interview that I saw, I think on Thursday, that actually cheered me up when I was sick. I saw an interview with one lady, And the person who did the interview completely caught who this person is. It's just, she's she's a wonderful human being, but she's a bit like, she's very eccentric. And what happened is that they actually forgot her, and she lives in the same street where the avalanche fell. She's just like from the corner of the building, the two buildings that were hit the hardest. And she's just like, oh well, I'll just stay home. And I think it was either she called her husband or her husband called her, because he's away from home. He's out on a shipping trawler away from home. And he's like, no, you're gonna call them and tell them where you are. She's like, oh, okay. And when they come to pick her up, she's just sitting in the living room. She's sitting in the living room just eating fish jerky. And like, the person who did the interview, he just completely caught how she speaks, how she acts, her expressions, just because it literally, the interview literally ends with her saying something that is so her, and then just walking away. Is just like, yeah, that's her. So it's like, so last week has been a lot, and I was so very, very grateful to be able to get home yesterday. One of the first things that we did was water all the plants, because in the stick, we are the type of neighbors where we just spread out, and we do that with putting plants out. And considering that none of our neighbors have complained, and I've actually been like thankful for having plants around. So we have a lot of plants in the staircase, and because all the windows were closed, the staircase, it gets hot. And we have hibiscus, 3 hibiscus. We have more plants out there, and the hibiscus, if you're familiar with them and you keep them, because here in Iceland, if you want to have plants, you have to keep them indoors. They were dry. So the first thing we did was water all the plants in the home, and rewash the laundry that was in the washing machine when we had to bounce on Monday. And then I just, like, I didn't collapse, but I did not have any energy to do anything. Slept like a rock last night, which I'm really grateful for. And yeah, I decided to have a pajama day today, and I was going to do a short video today, but then I just started talking. But yeah, a very dramatic beginning of the week, but all things considered, it went way better than we could have, and it could have gone. If we didn't have the avalanche, like, protective gardens over the big part of the town, it would have gone way worse. The only reason that avalanche hit the houses is because and this is ironic, there are plans. They are actually going to start very soon, or I think the plan was either this summer or the next, on expanding the avalanche gardens, I think just over where we are. But yeah, it just hadn't happened yet, and this happens. So it just further drives home the point that this is needed. The avalanche gardens, I need to show you them this summer. Yeah. Hold me up to that. Tell me to take a walk this summer, and show you our lifesavers, okay? Because they are marvelous. They have literally saved the town this past week. But like, if you're gonna look at the happy notes, because there's always a bright point. Everyone is fine. We have learned quite a bit. And the past week, like, we are not the only town that had to evacuate. Like, I think the situation was the most dire where we are, but they also had to evacuate in Seyðisfjörður, and one house in Mjóifjörður. There's a small hamlet there, like there are 4 houses that are occupied there. They had to evacuate one house to be safe. We had to evacuate small parts of Eskifjörður. Geiðarfjörður is fine because that's my old hometown. That town, it has the best it's the best situated in the Eastern Fjords. Okay, it's far enough away from all mountains that there's just a minuscule risk of like risk of like avalanches, that they were safe there. They had to evacuate a little in Fáskursfjörður and a little bit in Stöðvarfjörður, which is still a big thing when you have to evacuate and leave your home. But I think that it's either yesterday or today that everyone got to go home, and everyone is fine. There's a lot that needs to be like rebuilt. We need to see when the snow melts, just how many of the trees we've lost. But we can replant them. There's I've told you quite a bit about this valley. That is like the main road to the Eastern Fjords from Egilsstaðir. That valley has been constantly impassable. It's been closed a lot because of the amount of snow and dangers of avalanches. And there's been a lot of avalanches in the Eastern Fjords. I think the meteorology office actually said that they got an example of every single variety of avalanche in this past week. And the version of an avalanche that fell on a house is the single most rarest one. So it's like, I mean, try to look at the bright side. It's historical. But another thing that I found interesting is that there have been mountains like over Eskifjörður is a mountain called Hólmatindur. It's a really tall, iconic mountain. It's kind of like shaped it's very iconic. I have never known that mountain to like spew anything. The occasional like rock, very rarely, if there's been like heavy rainfall, but that mountain has actually spewed quite a bit of snow. It never does that. Kleinafell, there's a certain corner of it that we are always like mindful of, because it does have a it has a tendency to crumble a bit, and there's always a risk of like stones or mud or something part of living here. What it has never done until now is this amount of small avalanches. Like, it completely wrecked the railing. It's gone. They need to remake the railing in that entire area. It's like there have been quite a few strange things, but all things considered, today is sunny, it's dry, it's nice. The dustman or the garbage man company, they're making extra trips to pick up the trash. The people who are keeping the streets clear, they're making yet another extra day to clear the roads. But everyone is fine. Now my mouth kind of hurts because I've been talking so much. But yeah, it's just considering everything that could have happened, and it didn't, and everyone is safe, everyone is fine. Just a lot. So that's why I haven't been knitting or crocheting, is because I have simply not had the brain cells to. So I'm literally at the same spot with that as it was last weekend. Honestly, I think because Easter is literally just a week away, if this isn't gonna be a sleepy town next weekend, I don't know what. If people aren't gonna be like resting up and gathering energy, I will be kind of surprised. But yeah, I like I said before, I was aiming for a short video. This is now half an hour. But I was wondering whether I should make this video, but then I realized I need to make this video because I want to be able to remember. But I also wanted to tell you what exactly has been happening. And because I am a very proud Icelander. I am proud of my country. I am proud and I am in love with a country that has literally fostered me. And I want everyone to know, I want you to know my country. I want you to know it is extremely beautiful. It is lovely and it's caring, but it's also really, really dangerous, and the danger is absolutely real. But that's not no reason to be. Well, there is reason to be afraid, but you know, because I did notice as well a big difference in, you know, people who are born and raised here and people who move here. Understandable. Like, I have two Polish co-workers, and on Wednesday one of them was a video where they caught a small avalanche that fell to the east of us. Didn't hit the gardens, the protective gardens, but it did make a lot of noise on the camera. And she watched that video and she was shaking. She was so scared. So she got to go home a little earlier, and we knew that she would be going to her daughter or in Eskifjord, and I really hope she didn't land in the evacuation there. But for her own mental health and just mental safety, she needed to leave. So she went, yeah, like I said, she went over to Eskifjord, and then she just showed up for work in our sister location in Eskifjord, just like, you know what, I'm gonna be useful. I love her. Meanwhile, people who, like, when you are exposed with the knowledge that this is a fact of life, this is something that is very it's never unlikely to happen. Not that like I said, it's been 50 years since an avalanche has something this big has happened, right? But when you're born and raised with this exposure to avalanches, mudslides, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, the types of eruptions, all the things that can happen here in Iceland, the ocean itself, that's a chapter for itself. When you are constantly exposed to it and you get the time to process and accept, because this is a fact of life, it does make it a little bit easier to deal with it when the situation arises. That's why we have tried our best to talk about this, to, you know, teach ourselves and one another about the facts of living here. That's why, yeah, but I think I needed more the point driven home further for myself, that how I need to rethink how I approach my my co-workers who are not born and raised here, and I need to find out how I can better help them, like, learn and not be afraid of Iceland, because Iceland is a lovely country. It's just dangerous country as well. But yeah, I think that's I'm in a much better mood now. I really hope I didn't like trauma dump on you or something. I really hope I didn't. But yeah, I am definitely feeling a lot better now. Again, like I said, I'm having a pajama day because I've literally been wearing the same pants the entire week. Really nice pants, mind you. Those pants, very good purchase. They've been absolutely good purchase. But yeah, it's nice, it's sunny, and I think I'm gonna take a nap. But yeah, like I said, everyone is fine, everyone is safe. We're all doing well. And yeah, so thank you for watching, and I don't know how to end this video. But yeah, like I said, I'm probably gonna go take a nap and end this video. So yeah, I will see you again next weekend. You're not rid of me. It's gonna take way more than the mountains being a bugger. So yeah, I'll see you later again next weekend. Until then, take care. I really hope that life is as good here as it can possibly be. Better than my last week, and hopefully way better. I hope it's really sunny where you are. So take care. See you next weekend. Okay? Bless.